Thank you. Thank you for welcoming us to the territory. We got a bunch of Gitsan boys here representing our community. And our men's group. Our men's group is called the Gitanmaax Dudes Club. And we do a lot of work of healing. We've marched and we've carried these signs in marches. We marched through our town with 50 men strong. Healthy men equals healthy communities. Strong men equals strong families. We're working towards zero domestic violence, zero family violence, zero overdoses, and zero suicides. And those numbers are achievable. And we say, as a Singigit, as a man, I take the responsibility to be a provider, a protector, and a teacher. We didn't always have those things growing up, and we take the responsibility today. And we stand against violence towards women. No more missing and murdered women and girls. Those messages are part of our group at all times. I say, violence, where did it come from? Where did we come from? The government didn't want us here. The residential schools tried to destroy us. They taught us negative ways. They taught our grandparents to hit us. One of our group members went to residential school, and he told us, he says, "You guys don't know nothing. You guys never went to residential school." And I corrected him. I said, "No, we didn't. But they brought it home. We got tortured and beat just like you." There's horror stories of my childhood. And I didn't know that this was wrong. I thought this was just everyday life. Every time I got beat, it was just nothing. Maybe I deserved it. If I didn't do anything and I got beat, it's probably my fault anyway. So I grew up with a negative self-image about myself. I deserved being treated like shit by my own family, let alone residential school. A little bit of my story, and I'm telling you everybody's story, I think. When I was 1 year old, my mother was murdered in my home. My dad went to prison for it. We don't think he did it. Some people think he did it, but most of us think he didn't. He came home and found her like that, tried to revive her, got blood on the gun, put the gun in his mouth, and pulled the trigger. But he got sentenced to life in prison. So I didn't know him growing up either. My mother was taken and my dad was taken. I grew up with my extended family and they hated my dad. So they took it out on us. We grew up in an environment of anger and hate and torture and abuse, every kind of abuse. And we thought this was normal. This is every day. This is life. My grandmother moved us to a next town. It was a redneck town. So we were a bunch of native kids in a redneck town. And all they had for us was anger and hate too. And we were like, fuck that. You got nothing. So we showed them. Even though there was only 4 of us, we probably fought them all at least 6 times each. And in my young years, I said I didn't want to be a product of the system that raised me. I didn't want to be an abusive person. I didn't want to be a hateful, hurtful person. I didn't know where that came from. That voice in my head told me this. And I've been taking some training lately, and I think it was myself going back as a child to my own child and telling me it doesn't have to be like this. You don't have to grow up like that. when I was 18 years old and I got to first drinking, and drinking erased all that voice. And like I said, I wasn't gonna be like that, but as soon as I got drugs and alcohol in me, I told my brothers, I said, when I grow up, I'm gonna be bigger, and I'm gonna go back and kick the shit out of any uncle that ever raised a hand and hit me or stood by and watched his wife do it. And a lot of times it was the women that did this. I learned that the most abusive people have been raised by abusive women. They own it because their mom teaches them that, their aunties. I told my brother, I said, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kick the shit out of anybody that raised a finger. I deserve it, don't I? My brother said, don't do it. I said, why not? I deserve it, don't I? He said, if you do it, you'll grow up just like them. I said, what do you mean? He said, look at them. They're only 40 years old, and already they're old and weak and sick. And I looked at them, and they were old. One of my uncles, like 40 years old, skin and bone and gristle and stupid. My other uncle, big, fat, sweaty, greasy, diabetic. Shit. I said, no, I don't want to be like that. My brother stopped me. My brother changed my path. Then I had my own kids. And I didn't know how to be a parent. Nobody taught me how to be a loving person. Nobody taught me about looking after somebody else, being a protector and a provider and a teacher. All I was taught was negative stuff. I was going to say shit right there, but I'm trying to. My kids taught me so much. Like everything I taught my kids about looking after, about love, about caring. I was teaching myself for the first time through my children. I taught my children, but I was teaching myself at the same time because I didn't have these teachers. And when I quit drinking, I drank for a while and it was bad. I was one of the worst in the community. When we were standing in the parking lot in Hazelton, people were driving by looking at this Motley Crue and like, holy shit, what the hell are they up to? Little did they know, we're up to something weird today. Hey, Russ? Enthusiasm. Yeah, and alcohol and drugs took off all of those stoppers for violence. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to do that. But alcohol took that away, took that voice out of my head, and it said, do it. Someone mistreats you, show them. Someone raises a fist at you, hit them first. And we grew up with that. It was normal too. We took our anger out on each other. 0 suicides. I think this message is important because a lot of people turn their anger towards those around them. That's lateral violence. But a lot of people turn their anger inside because they don't want to hurt somebody else. But they are. My children taught me so much. I got a boy and a girl who love me. I got 4 grandsons who think I'm the best yet in the world. All the good times we ever had. I asked my son, do you remember me ever raising my hand to you guys? He said no. He's 29 years old. And I'm having a difficult time with my daughter right now, and I can't even remember a time raising my voice to her, really. And I never ever hit my daughter. But it started somewhere. It started with me. I went to treatment. I quit drinking 27 years ago. 27 years and 3 days and 8 hours, 42 minutes. I really appreciate the invitation to come, and I asked our crew, like our men's group, our dudes club, we got the biggest, those guys down south, they say they have the biggest dudes club in BC. I would stand and argue and I would say, no, Gitanmaax Dude Club is the biggest. We've had over 180 men, probably 200 men come through our doors. We have 25 men gathering every day, every Tuesday. And most of them like it. I had one guy say, I like Dudes Club, but Mike just makes us fucking talk. He said that. And then the following week he came in, I couldn't shut him up. I'm like, dude, pass it on to the next guy. Like, we only got 5 minutes. So, our group is really working together. Our group is all about inclusiveness. We don't exclude anybody for drinking history. Somebody could piss me off last week and they still welcome them this week. Say, welcome. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. Every single person that walks through our door receives that message, even Henry. I told him he couldn't get the mic and he's trying to get some attention. Shit. Sorry, Henry. Sorry. But you didn't hear me out there. You guys heard me told him, right? Anyway, you see my cowboy shirt? I got cowboy boots on too. Because I didn't want to come to someone else's territory and try to out-Indian these cool Indians, man. You guys are awesome. Regalia and shit and bigger shirts. Vests with your name on it. The chief. That's awesome. And I appreciate the welcome, I really do. And we were just supposed to make a short presentation, and I think I'm coming. I wanted to talk about the apology. Harper made the apology, right? On behalf of the churches and the schools. And when he said that, I thought it was a slap in the face. Because in our language, we don't even have the word or a translation for I'm sorry. I'm sorry for something that they did and they continue to do is bullshit. If I'm going to make an apology and I'm going to make something right, I'm going to make it right. And I wrote an apology to my children. I think I wrote this 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I'd like to read it if I could. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I ever raised a hand to you growing up. This was taught to me. I have since learned of better ways to teach. I hope you have learned from me. If I yelled at you too much when you were a child, adults have a lot of responsibilities, and I was slow to learn this. You did not deserve the angry voice of a dad. I have also learned to better communicate. I hope you have too. If I left you too long when I was out and I made you feel alone, I'm sorry. Even during my worst days, I always thought of you. You were never alone. Right now we may be miles apart, but you're always in my heart. I could not provide everything your heart's desired. I always did my best. Still, if you need something, you can have it. I will do my best to help you get it. If you thought it was tough on you, if you thought it was too tough on you, I have shown you that the world is tough, and you need to be a little tough to get through some things. If you remember that I used to drink and cause trouble, I hope you see that the struggles that this brought and see that fun is not in a bottle or wrapped in some feel-good drug. I tried my best to show this to you too. I hope I taught you enough about communication so you can talk about what goes on in your lives instead of struggling on your own. You both have helped me to learn so much about sharing. Remember the good things we do and did. Family dinner, story time at night, the hugs during bad dreams, the hikes, the magic kiss that took the pain away from a boo-boo. There are too many to make a complete list, but remember this big one. I love you. Thank you again.